Stephen,
How you keeping?
we are at Crossland HQ. I am very aware of the company. I'm very aware of lots and bits and pieces of tankers that you do, but you caught my eye at the National Ploughing Championships last year. You had this tanker sitting. We got talking and it's led us through to seeing this working, and we're here at the Crossland factory taking a little bit of a look round what exactly you guys do. Slurry management is a hot topic in the agricultural world now. You guys have been making tankers, that's what you do. Tell us a little bit about the business here at Crossland and what all kind of tankers you're making, just as an introduction.
So Crossland's on the go about 35 years. We make tanks for chemicals, milk, sludge, loads of bitumen, loads and loads of different things. Slurry has been something that we've not really thought about, to be honest. What we have found is our second-hand and older vacuum tankers have been used for slurry for a good few years now, and we get loads of phone calls saying, have you used anything second-hand, which we don't really have. So this was something different to offer to contractors and farmers.
Well, you said there about second-hand, sort of like waste tankers are going out and hauling slurry. Well, we actually can concur. We know that. We have seen some of them, and just by default, some videoing we have done in the past, different contractors they actually would have. We've seen one or two of your tankers placed in those fleets, doing exactly that, hauling sludge, hauling slurry, hauling waste. So slurry management is becoming a thing, and that's what you've wrote up the side of this tanker. What's special about this one though?
We aim for it to be a little bit less expensive than our current run-of-the-mill based stainless steel and aluminium vac tankers, to give people a chance to be able to own one. The key things that are different on this compared to what will be a standard stainless or an aluminium tank is this is a non-pressure vessel. It's made in mild steel and it uses a Vogelsang pump rather than a compressor or vacuum pump.
Why? What's the benefit to using this type of pump to your standard vacuum tanker?
Right. A standard vacuum tanker, the tank would have to be rated to a discharge pressure, which means the tank has to be built to a pressure code, which leaves it a lot more expensive. And it's then limited to 1 bar discharge, which means you can go 10 metres up or 100 metres out. This pump can pump 8 bar, so it can go a lot higher and a whole lot further. It can pump for about half a mile. So discharge pressure is better on it.
Why is that important to you in this application?
Probably more important to the end user. He's not going to be tipping just nicely over the hedge. Typically it's never as nice as that. You're going to have to link loads of hoses together and pump down a field or pump into a holding tank or lift from a further distance. So it just leaves the tank a wee bit more versatile than a standard suction tank.
And this is by definition a lobe
It is.
pump.
Yes.
Whereas a vacuum tanker, every farmer will be used to operates with the vanes. And so what is the key difference there?
So on a vacuum tanker, the air is sucked out of the tank, which sucks the slurry out of the pit. All of the slurry will go through this pump. So inside there are lobes that will actually process and pump the slurry through.
All the slurry goes through that pump?
Yes.
Is that why you don't have the same structural strength, or am I missing something?
A slightly different design. Because it's a non-vacuum tank, you don't need all the external rings, and because it's a thicker mild steel barrel, you don't need to carry it in the same way. It's carried on saddles rather than carried on top hat rings. The design's slightly different. To try and standardise the design, it's on an I-beam bogie, which is slightly different to our run-of-the-mill bogie, again to try and manage costs.
The array of tanks and what's going on is phenomenal, from the ADR spec on chemicals that you just don't want to be touching, to you have your milk tank of Dale Farm, for example. There's just happens to be 3 or 4 going through there at the minute, so we picked them out, which is one of the big local co-ops or whatever for lifting the milk. But everything's slightly different, but it's all running off the same sort of principle. You're stainless, you're ribbing it, you're putting in a skin on the milk tanks. Yeah. Why do you have to do that on a milk tanker?
So you have the stainless steel, so you choose whether it's 316 or 304 on a normal stainless tanker. based on the product that you put in. So a milk tank, for instance, will be 304. The rib goes on the outside, and it carries the weight. You put the insulation on, and so it'll keep it warm or cool depending on what the product is.
But I've seen in one of your other tankers you were using a different type of insulation. It was polystyrene for the milk tanker, but on another tanker it was a different type of insulation. Well, it just caught my... But that was the concept there, was you're trying to keep it warm.
We're trying to keep it warm. And you're trying to protect the polystyrene.
We just see a tanker and think that's a tanker.
Oh no, there's loads of different things happening underneath the skin.
There's a lot of rigids floating about here, getting tanks for certain jobs as well, of all sorts. So
between generally milk or waste tanks, milk tanks will be rigid purely for access, so as they can get in or out. Waste tanks, the same, just so as they can get in and out. A waste tank will typically be with the same idea as this, with a vacuum pump or that, to suck on and off the product. So
back to this tanker here. This is a wee bit against the run-of-the-mill tanker here, because when I look around here I see a lot of stainless. You've headed towards mild steel in this tanker. What was the thinking there?
To try and contain costs. Stainless steel is expensive. The make-up of stainless steel, the nickel and the like, are used in batteries for modern cars and all the rest, so it's quite expensive and it's volatile. Mild steel is a bit steadier. We used to make a lot of mild steel tanks, but not this last while. So the mild steel thing is to try and contain costs.
Just to make this slurry management a little bit more affordable.
Affordable, yes, that's correct.
Is this number one?
This is number one.
And the concept here is you're looking to get a tanker that you can use mild steel.
Yes.
You can load and unload, push it further in the discharge.
Yes.
Either up, because if it's going up into a big nurse tank or it's going up a hill, and that's the concept behind using this system.
Yes, yes.
And you have your snorkel. Is it hard to, so the concept of the snorkel, and I see this a lot, even creeping in here now to even Northern Ireland, some of the bigger progressive dairies, and certainly in England, pull up outside the field or in a really dry time and a lane down in the field, machine comes along, drops in, snorkels out, we call it a snorkel, snorkels out, and off he goes. So what kind of capacity have we got in this tank?
This one's 33,000 litres, so it's aimed at the sort of the Southern Irish market, where they can run a little bit heavier than
46 ton.
46 ton.
So is that where we see that sort of as a rule of thumb, fully freighted, fully loaded, with decent slurry, we're going to be just tipping there about 46 ton?
We're going to be about 46 ton, yeah.
Thereabouts.
So it's a bit big for a UK job, but well sited for the South Ireland.
Well, what if I, so if I want one of these, do we make them whatever size I want?
You can make it whatever size, you can have it whatever way you want, whatever colour you want.
That's not a problem.
Aye, no problem. No, we can customise this. I suppose we have what would you call it? All the toys, so we can assemble them whichever way you want to put them together. Longer, shorter, fatter, whichever way. If you have an access issue, we can shorten the wheelbase to allow you to get in. If you want this for maximum payload, we can strip off components to allow you to get extra payload.
And is the concept here that Crossland's looking at is, as farms are becoming more spread out, they're becoming a lot more bigger units, and I'm not necessarily saying that's the right thing, I'm just saying that's what's happening. People have to move slurry larger distances, where we've got times where there's bands, there's slurry to be moved. It's Crossland's vision that more of this slurry is going to have to be moved by lorries.
Yeah, well,
keeping maximum weight done by lorries. Is that the thinking?
Maximum efficiency. Tractors are expensive. Diesel is expensive, and many farms have their own trucks, and most contractors have their own trucks, so it's another string to their bow. It also means the tractor can be in the field doing the work in the field where the slurry is moved on the road.
You are certainly right there, because a lot of contractors now, it's because of the way in which the nature of work is, a lot of them have moved to having a lorry or two to do certain work, so it does make sense. And I don't really care who comes on and comments at this one. If you put a tractor out onto haulage duties only, and you look at its miles per gallon versus
Yeah.
the modern day lorry, there's a big difference.
There is.
You know,
There is.
and you can move a lot. So we're moving. But the potential here is UK would be roughly around sort of a 30,000 litre
30,000
tank,
litres thereabouts. Yeah.
So we could be moving 30,000 litres in the one go all above board.
You could.
And steering axles, all of these things are options. This is a passive, or
This is a floppy steer.
a floppy, as you call it, or we call it a floating axle.
Floating axle, as you call it. But other steering options are available. Yeah. So you can have a powered steer. You can have a floating steer. Left axles again, front, back, middle, all, or whatever you want. There's no problem.
What's the coolest tanker Crossland makes? What's your favourite?
What I would call a wee workhorse tank. So our standard stainless vac tank. If I had 10 of them now, I could sell them in a heartbeat.
I'm not asking you which one makes ye money.
No,
I'm asking
no,
you your favourite tanker.
No, but it is my favourite tanker because you look at it and you think, do you know what? That just does the job. You know, it's a Model T Ford. It's just the tank that just goes out, does its day's work, and it's not overly blingy, fancy. I'm not really into that blingy, fancy thing. I just like things that work and keep working.
Oh, we wouldn't get on there.
No. You like shiny things.
I like shiny.
You like shiny.
What's your most extravagant tanker?
We have some weird things. We have tanks that tip into a skip. So waste tanks where you load them up and then because the product's really heavy and you just can't tip it in the hole in the hedge, it must be tipped into a skip then to dispose of it properly. So that scissors up and tips in. There's some agricultural things do a similar sort of thing. So.
Yeah. And what's the most run-of-the-mill tanker?
Probably milk farm collection tanks, waste vacuum tanks of different types. Bitumen tanks depending on the season, depending on the timings.
But you have a site also in the UK as well.
We do.
So if I've got this right, running gear, all those things assembled here, all the finer details, but the stainless barrels are rolled at your other site.
They're rolled in Burnley.
In Burnley.
So we have a trailer goes back and forward, so we send running gears to Burnley and they give us barrels here to Swatter.
And so milk tanks where it's at with regards to, you think would that be your volume?
It's seasonal. It's seasonal, and it's at the moment milk tanks are busy, waste tanks are busy. 6 months ago, bitumen tanks were busy. So it just really depends on what's going on and the world around us, I suppose.
And do you think this lobe style system is potentially the future?
Yes, there are big advantages with it. The discharge pressure that it can put up, so the distance that it can send product is a big advantage. The fact you don't need insurance certification for the tank, so it's a cheaper and easier to make tank, are big advantages.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, going to your agriculture manufacturer and picking up your tandem or even your 3-axle tanker, and there are many issues that can be flagged up around the sizes and weights and measures of all of that, whereas here you can do that and you can move the weight. The only one thing you can't really do is go into the field.
Yeah, no.
So if you're set up for ferrying, the lobe pump's going to help you a little bit more at your end product.
Yes.
What about looking at different systems? Like if I had that tanker set up and I had another tanker, even if it was a tractor tanker come with a boom, could we get like a hydraulic top lid on it to, you know, one could dump into it and let it keep pumping in? And
yeah, so we can do a hydraulic top lid, we can do a boom on top as well to discharge over the hedge.
So we could, essentially we could pull up alongside a nurse tank and,
yes, and drop in, yeah.
Drop in?
So we haven't just finished yet, but we're in the middle of it. So.
Oh, so you're really going to try and have this with its range of attachments as such?
Yes. So as I say, we're going to try and create the toy box and then we can offer loads of different
I know
options.
BP McKeefery, the haulage firm, has been doing a lot of the testing, and we've seen this tanker work doing the testing, which was actually quite incredible because it was a very big tank and quite a small yard that day.
It was.
And the driver, he aced it now, in fairness. And but the thing that I was thinking about it was, at some point, will you potentially be doing a few demos or whatever with this tanker? Yeah,
we have a couple of customers who run other tanks of ours. They're going to run and test this for a month or two. to get feedback back. You know, we're not essentially the end user for this type of a tank, so we want to find out what people say about it to allow us to adjust the design of it and get it out and properly test it. You know, we don't want to just launch a thing to market and without proper testing.
What about getting it sometime when you're happy and take it with our own lorry and have a play?
Aye, no problem.
Get a wee bit of sorting done. We could maybe take it to Cork. That'd be the place to go.
We could go on holidays for a day or two.
We could go on holidays for like a days.
Right,
Down to O'Mahony's here.
We could.
But no, Stephen, thank you very much for the little bit of an insight. You know, this tanker is very well finished. The spec is great. The lights down the side. You know, there's definitely been a lot of effort went into this. The low pump system is something that's definitely quite different. I know maybe it's a lot more common in the European side of things on tankers, but I know as far as I'm concerned, it's mostly vacuum tankers I would be seeing, which is mostly what you are.
Which is mostly what we've been doing before. So.
And you've got your swivel point for easy access. Your control box is very, very, very straightforward to use, which what I noticed. Dan Foss, Vogelsgang, not really much more you can do. BPW running gear on this one, I do believe. What more can you ask for?
All the toys.
All the toys.
All the toys.
Well, Stephen, thank you very much, but it must be time for a cup of tea. My hands are freezing.
Thanks,
Good man, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.